Okay, we are on. I forgot to turn on the camera, and now we're having problems with the second camera. Darn darn. All right, I guess we are not going to be using the second camera today. Bummer. So, how is everybody? Welcome. It is August 6th. How is it August already? 2024. I hope you are all doing very, very well. Thank you for enjoying the little slideshow of July. We used to do that all the time, and I kind of got out of the habit because the show was getting so unbelievably long. But a lot happens in the summer, and it's really fun to be able to share some of our life behind what happens here with you guys. And I really enjoy doing that. So I hope that you enjoy seeing a little snippet of our life. As you can see, it's a lot of soccer. The final slides that were of the senior girls team. So there's a player on that team that Nora just absolutely idolizes. And she's already been called up for the Canadian national women's team. Her last name is Hernandez-Gray. And Nora has the same coach that Geneva's worked with for years and years. And Nora just idolizes Geneva and thinks she's amazing, which she is. So, yeah, it's just really fun to share that with you guys because Nora's sort of, just thinks these girls are amazing, and they're great in grade 10, 11, and 12, and they're doing incredible things, and it's just really cool to share that with her. How is everybody? I have been doing a ton, and then there's a whole bunch of stuff that I can't even share with you and show you, which is really too bad because I want to be able to share it with you, and I want to talk through my process, and I want to be able to sit here and knitter natter at you guys about it all. So that is actually kind of too bad, but I have other things to share with you that I am equally excited about. When we run the intro credits, I will see if I can fix my camera here. Something's not plugged in properly to the secondary camera's battery is dead. That seems a bit odd to me. So I wonder if it's just unplugged. We've got a lot to share today. I've got a whole bunch of yarn. I've got something to bounce some ideas off of you guys and find out from you what you think, what you would do in this situation that I'm kind of excited to hear from you guys about, because it means breaking some spinning rules, which is always really fun. And I have a new acquisition to share with you that is kind of a nice to have that I decided to go ahead and do because I've been thinking about it for years. We'll talk a little bit about some of the summer stuff that's going on and some of the stuff that we've been working through and doing so that you guys are all up to date, those who are newer to the community. And yeah, so without further ado, let's get into the show. I have no idea if I fixed it. Let's try again. Let's see if it's working. I was under the desk. I'm like, oh, you guys are probably there and I'm not here. Yeah, it's like not even turning on. So weird. Yeah, I don't know. It says the battery's exhausted, which is really strange because it is actually plugged in. So that's very strange. Let's move on. All right, so what is happening in, yeah, exactly, Rebecca. Rules, what are these rules? Exactly, 110%. Oh, thank you, Dion. She says she really enjoys the new intro. Thank you, that's wonderful, I'm glad. It was time to shorten it up. The old one was quite long, and yeah, it was just time to do things a little bit differently. This is not right. Where is all of our stuff? Here it is. All right. As you guys know, we've been working through our 2-year book study on the Spinner's Book of Yarn Designs. Most people who are hand spinners, by the time they've been spinning for a few years, they have this book. It's just kind of one of those books. Mine is buried under a pile of stuff under the desk, but it's just like kind of one of those catch-all books that most of us end up acquiring at some point. Most people don't sit down and read it cover to cover. So that's why we're doing a guided book study for the next 2 years. So we're already halfway through the first year, which is insane, and we're looking at all of the singles right now, which is really fun. So we're looking at sort of auto wrapping singles, energized singles, just spinning singles, thick and thin singles. I'll share with you guys in community participation later in the show some of the things that people have been doing, just a couple of slides. It's just really, really fun. And yeah, if you guys are interested in learning more, you can hop on board at patreon.com/woolenspinning. Spinning Staples is like the deep dive group. Think of them as like the book study group for people who are looking to go deeper and wanting to experience the book at a little bit deeper level. You might be a beginner, you might be an intermediate, you might be somebody that's looking, that sort of feels like you've plateaued for a little bit with your spinning and you're looking to level up. That's the group for you related to the book. They meet on the 2nd and the 4th Tuesday of every month. So actually they're meeting this coming Thursday. I will send out the reminder for you guys this coming Thursday, August 8th at 12 noon Pacific. And then Queries and Explorations is a group that's been long established but has changed over the years, which is really cool. We meet on the 2nd and the 4th Saturday of each month. That is a group guided by me. And we've been really deep diving recently into fleece and prepping fleece, fiber prep, dyeing. What else have we covered? You guys help me out. We've been doing a lot of like deep conversation about just like our process and staying motivated, working on bigger projects. It's definitely a group for those who are looking to have conversations about your making and sort of find meaning in your making, but also sort of guidance, I guess, would be the best word. So that's the elevator pitch for those two groups. And I hope that you will find a home in both of them, one or both. As you guys know, on the Slack channel, there's all sorts of Zoom groups that happen throughout the week. We've got this 2 spin groups. One happens on Tuesday morning before the live stream every week at 8 a.m. Pacific. And then the other one is at 8 a.m. British Summer Time on Thursdays. That also catches down under because the Tuesday group does not. Unless I think, isn't it, does it? No, it doesn't catch them. It's the 12 noon that can catch them if they get up early. Fiber Prep and Weaving Group meets on Fridays at 8 a.m. Pacific, and those groups just alternate every week. So jump in. It doesn't matter which week it is. Just jump in and join. Book group just met like a week and a half ago Saturday to discuss the book that they were doing, and the next book is being discussed now in the Slack channel under #books. If you are a book lover, I highly recommend that you jump in and join them. I was really hoping that I could join in with this book that they just finished. I think it was an Anne Bronte novel, if my memory serves, and we had family here from Ontario, so I just couldn't step away and do that. It just wasn't in the cards. In terms of what's going on this summer, we just finished Tour de Fleece. It just wound down, and we will be doing prizes later in the show. I'm really excited to hand those out to you guys. Everybody spun amazing yarn. It was so much fun to watch what you guys were doing. I actually got a lot of spinning done. I was really surprised. That's what we're going to talk about in today's show. And we still have Tour de Fleece Femme to look forward to. So that starts next week. And so for those who are doing Tour de Fleece Femme, it is a little bit shorter. It's only 6 days. And what I find with Tour de Fleece Femme for me, what I did last summer, I actually took a specific project and just worked on that for the 6 days. I was like, I want to see this project through in this window of time. And I suspect that that's what I'll do again this time. It worked really well. I enjoyed it. It was condensed and it just felt really doable. Spindle spun season goes on throughout the summer in the Northern Hemisphere and the winter in the Southern Hemisphere. The Slack channel is #Spindle Spun Season 2024. We have one every year. It's kind of a recurring along that we do. We'll be wrapping up on the autumnal equinox in September. And then finally after Tour de Fleece Femme is finished, we'll start our chickens and we'll do our knit along for our chickens or crochet along for those in the community that are crocheters. And that will start at the middle end of August. I really had to time that one so that it started after I had been to Calgary for Knit City. I just had to sort of take something off my plate. So that will go through until the autumnal equinox as well. I think that's everything for all the things. I think that's everything. I feel like that's a lot of stuff. We've covered a lot this summer. People have been making so much in the Slack channel. It's like blown up with what people are working on. And I find the summer is kind of like that. People have a lot that they're working on, and it's really, really exciting. All right, I do have quite a lot that I've been working on, but I wanted to share with you first. I made the commitment financially and time-wise. I have had a hand crank drum carder for a very long time. I've had it for 10 years. It has seen so much work. Hours and hours and hours and hours of work. Pound after pound of fiber has gone through that drum carder. I am not going to get rid of it just yet. I'm going to hang on to it for a while because there's a couple of things that I have found with this new carder that I can only do on my smaller hand crank carder at this time. Maybe that'll change. Maybe I'll sort of get used to it and I'll figure out how to do some of the other things that I want to do. But in terms of like being able to do my little nests of fiber, which I'll show you, like these little nests that I like to pull off the drum carder. I haven't figured out how to get those off of my big carder yet. It really pulls off big bats the best. I have actually already carded up a ton of stuff for me, a ton for me. So while I'm chatting, let me play this through. So I made the, hang on, I gotta go back to the beginning. I made the decision to get a motorized carder because I'm doing more and more and more fiber prep, and I'm acquiring more and more fleeces. And I wanted the opportunity to be able to work through that fiber in a relatively timely way where I could card, if I could get stuff prepped and I could get stuff ready to go, I could get it carded and do 100-gram batches of stuff relatively quickly. You still have to do all your prep. You still have to do all your fiber stuff in terms of like making sure that your locks are all open, that it's washed and cleaned and scoured. All of the work of carding is still there. That hasn't changed. But just the sheer amount of fiber that I can process now is really wonderful. So what I ended up getting was the Fancy Kitty Little Tom wide. I waffled about the big Tom. I waffled about getting a smaller carder because you can see this one doesn't even have the tray in. I haven't put the tray in. It just slides in where the liquor in is, right there. You just slide it in on those. You can see the rail there, that it just slides in under there. I had thought about getting the brother and getting the motorized carder where the motor loads on the side, but I really just don't have space. I'm working with a very, very small space, and while this is huge, you can see my floor lumen behind and how big it is. At least the motor is underneath, and so it's tall rather than being wide. I wanted the width in the drum so that I could get more fiber on, not the width because there's a motor hanging off the side. I looked at some of the other brands. Because of the Canadian dollar, it absolutely did affect my decision for sure. And in the end, this felt like the biggest bang for my buck. And there were like really good reviews online. Like anybody I talked to who has one loves it. Dion just got a Fancy Kitty kitten wide and she's loving it. And then Glenda got the same thing and she also got a kitten, but she did get the wide. She got the regular kitten, and honestly, for somebody, this is pretty overwhelming. It's pretty big. For somebody that's doing pretty standard carding, you're working through, maybe a couple 100 grams of fiber at a time. You maybe want to card up some braids, or you've got a small fleece that you want to do and you're doing it maybe a few times a year. This is overkill. You do not need this. This is too big. It's too much. There's a learning curve with it. It's just too much. So I am very much advocating like something a little bit more not as crazy. This is a lot. So what we'll do is for the rest of the show, I will sort of share with you some of the prep that I've gotten off of this carder thus far, which has been really, really fun, and I've been really enjoying it. So I was really hoping that my secondary camera would be working today so that I could share with you what I've been doing. But do you remember my Rideau-Arcott Charollais cross? This was a fleece that came to me via my friend Kelsey and my friend Diana. We shared a bunch of fleeces together back in 2019. I've told this story a million times. That's my original carder back there that I'm going to hang on to. This fleece was really, it came to me washed from Kelsey. She was incredible that summer. My dad was palliative, and she washed all of the fleece that I was getting. She washed it all for me. In hindsight, like, I could have done it myself down the road, but I just am eternally grateful to her that she did that for me. This one, however, was, when I pulled it out, I mean, it's 5 years, it's been sitting in the bag. It did feel a little bit tacky to me. So I did end up carding up some of the fiber, mixing in 15% Tussa silk for every 100 grams. And so I did 85 grams of the wool and then 15 grams of the Tussa silk. So I've got this 85-15% blend that I'm creating. And I've been lock popping the tips and just pulling some of the fleece, not all of it, but some of it, the tips are just a little bit not really super nice. So post re-washing, I just scoured it one more time, did 2 rinses, came out beautifully clean, and I've just been pulling off some of those tips that are not quite as nice. But honestly, overall, the fleece has been going really actually quite fast. I'm down to like this much left to process. I'm down to just a tiny bit. So let me show you what I was able to pull off of my new carder, because I had all of this prepped and ready to go. So what I had done was I had a whole bunch of it lock popped, and it all kind of looked like this. So crimpy. Look at that crimp. Isn't that incredible? So I had all of this lock popped, and like, I had a lot lock popped. So I had all of this lock popped. Like I said, I'm down to like the last little bit of the fleece left to lock pop, and just open up the locks. Like, just get them open. You know, just get those little butts. You see how it's just kind of a little bit tangled and a little bit, what I was finding was that was creating these, like, they're not truly neps, but just little tangles, not true neps, but little tangles where I would have to draft through it as I was drafting, even after carding. So by opening up all of this on the lock pop, it just has made the carding so much better. So probably not the best thing to do, but because I was so excited about the Fancy Kitty carder, and I hadn't used the carder yet, I was super excited about it. And I'm not a true beginner when it comes to carding. I've been carding for 10 years. I've used my brother like so much, and I'm gonna have to stand up for this. And I had carded a lot before then. I've taught classes on carding. Like, I felt really comfortable throwing this onto the carder almost right away. And look, and so this is 4 passes on the carder. This is not after 1 pass. This is 4 passes on the new carder. But look at what I got. Oh. I should tell you too, the carding cloth that I got, I wanted it for blending. I often do blends, which you guys know. I'll throw in, you know, whether it's sari silk or Tussa silk or any type of silk for that matter. I've found a lot in my stash recently that I need to start using up. I have a lot of add-ins in my stash, and so blending was at the top of my mind. So 120 TPI on the big drum and 90 TPI on the Liquorin. And this is what I got off of it. So let me unfold this. I'm gonna move back from the camera because honest to goodness, it is that big. Nora said, oh, you could wear it as a dress. So I folded it into kind of like a tea towel. So Lisa, I'm looking at you. This is how you fold a tea towel. So this is how big it is. So in relation to me, you can't even see all of it. Okay, let me see. It's huge. This is 100 grams of fiber. and look at the quality. It's just beautiful. It's like a cloud. It's just beautiful. And it's been folded up and rolled in my stash because I didn't want to start spinning this until I showed you guys. So I know it's white and it's hard to see, but this has 15% tussa silk in it. So that was part of what the problem was really making sure that I was able to blend the tussa in with the wool really, really well, because I was finding that it was coming out a little bit streaky. It wasn't blending really super nicely. And so after the first 2 passes on the carder, so then I did a 3rd pass and it came out really, really nicely. And I was like, oh, I wonder what will happen if I do a 3rd one. And sure enough, it came out just beautifully. So all of this fiber that's sitting on top in my bag here, all of this is another 85 grams of wool. And there's 15 grams of tussa in here, ready to go, to blend it all together and do a 2nd bat. And then I think I probably have enough fiber to do 1 more bat for this spin. I just love it. I'm not going to pretend that it has sped me up so much, but the difference, and I'll try and capture some video over the next couple of weeks, but it's a very, very busy couple of weeks that are ahead of us. I'm not sure I'm going to have anything to talk about on the next show in August. I usually take the last show of August off. It's the one time in the year that I kind of take a little bit of a sabbatical and I don't do the live stream. So if you don't see a post in 2 weeks for the show, it's because I did decide to take that little bit of a sabbatical. I find it really energizes me by just taking that little bit of time, having an opportunity to step away for a couple of weeks, not have the show for a month. It makes a huge difference to how I come into the fall. And then I usually do it again in December because of Christmas. And so yeah, just for those who are regular watchers and always attend the live stream, just keep that in the back of your minds. The thing is, this is the yarn that it has made, like for the this Rideau-Arcott. Like you can see there's a little bit of a sheen there. Could you see that little bit of sheen right there? It's just making the most beautiful singles. So this is all rewound off of my bobbins. I've got this one. And then I've got 2 more that have all been rewound. So I've got these 3 bobbins thus far. This one I'll add to once I spin more singles. So these are, this is about 300 grams thus far of spinning. I'm probably going to do a 3-ply. I haven't done sampling yet to sort of see what the different, like what a 2-ply would feel like, what a 3-ply would feel like, what a 4-ply would feel like. I'm waiting until I have enough bobbins that I could pull a 4-ply at the same time and do about 3 5-gram samples, 2-ply, 3-ply, and a 4-ply. In terms of carding, it did not speed me up to the extent of like I'm saving all this time on the motorized carder compared to the hand crank. What did speed me up was being able to break down the bat as I was going. So after that first pass through, this fluff flying everywhere. I'm sorry, you guys probably think I look kind of crazy, like I'm just throwing my hands around, but it's because there's fluff everywhere. When I did the first pass for the first time, I put the bat through. You put the bat through, you've got like 100 grams sitting on the carder. So I'm used to getting between 25 and 50 grams on a carder. So I was dealing with double the amount of fiber, which is incredible. And so after that first pass, neither carder has given me better or worse prep. They both have given me the same prep, okay? So this bat coming off of this carder is no better or worse than the bats that I was getting off of my old carder. My old carder, my brother is 120 tines per inch on the big drum and 90 on the small drum. So exactly the same on the liquor in. The difference isn't in the quality of prep that I'm getting off of either carder. The difference is that when you have that bat sitting in front of you, now you can start breaking it down and feeding stuff onto the liquor in tray, onto the back onto the drum carder, while you're still breaking stuff down. So with the hand crank, you break down, you get your first bit, you pop it on, you get your second bit, you pop it on, you get your third bit, you pop it on. Whereas with this, in this situation, rather than having to, you know, the next little bit that needs to be carded a second, third, fourth time, you're stopping to crank every time. Instead, it's just running continuously. So I was just sitting there feeding it fiber. I don't think it made me any pickier with the fiber prep. I think I was still breaking down the bats like I would have in previously, and I was still putting them through. They just, that part was kind of nice. I literally sat on the floor because it's too high on my kitchen counter because I'm working up here, and I'm not super tall. I'm 5'5", and so I'm not sort of tall enough to get above the carder. So sitting on the floor actually was really comfortable, and it made a lot of sense. I probably won't keep it on the floor long term, but it was really nice. And I just sat there and broke down the bat, and as I fed it in, the drum is continuing to turn. So it's like this constant feed that you can put onto it. And then of course, you know, you can pull off your next bat and you start the process all over again. So it's not better prep or by any stretch. It's just, I found it more fluid. I found the process more fluid, if that makes sense. If anybody has any questions, you can pop them into the chat now and I can answer them. Yeah, Rebecca says a wad of floof. Totally. That's exactly what it is. So squishy. Yeah, and it's funny because the bats are bigger than what I can get off of my smaller carder. They don't feel any more or less floofy, but it's funny because they there's just so much more fiber in them, so then therefore there's more air, so then they just feel bigger. And the first one that I got off, that I pulled off the carder, I showed it to the kids and I was like holding it up and I kind of had it like around myself, and Nora was like, that is huge. She's like, you could make a dress. I'm like, no, I don't need a dress. I need to spin this and make a dress. So, yeah, Lisa says I would just put that on the bed and sleep on it. Totally. It does look like a cloud caprice. It's beautiful. And it's just, I think it's just it's bigger. It's a full 100 grams, whereas on my older carder, it was pushing it at 50 grams, and really it functions beautifully between 35 and 40 grams. That's where the sweet spot is with that carder. Christine says, oh my word. You sound like me, Christine. I say that all the time. Yeah, so Dion says off of her kitten wide, she can easily get 100 grams on hers. So she's thinking I can probably get more onto mine. I think you're right, Dion. I think I probably can. And because I had all of this fiber measured out in 100 gram increments to get it carded, I'll have to start thinking more in terms of like 120 grams, 130 grams and see how far I can push it. Fionn is wondering which one Dion has. So Dion has the kitten wide, and Glenda has the regular kitten. So if you guys are wondering about chatting with some of the people in our community about these ones, you can definitely have a chat with them as well and find out why they went with theirs. Dion, I think, tell me if I'm wrong, Dion, but Dion went with the kitten because it's only 35 pounds, whereas mine's 50 pounds. Mine's quite a bit bigger. And she just didn't feel like she needed that extra, she could give up that extra real estate, and she felt like she didn't need to. Dion is the one in our community. She does all of the beautiful blending. She'll dye the fiber and then she blends it all together to create all these incredible colors with all these neat add-ins. She's just, her color sense is incredible. So I think for her, she was really thinking along the lines of bats. She didn't need to make massive bats, and she wanted to use them in... she wanted the motor for the same reason as me, to speed her up in terms of the breaking down and blending. That was, I her and I often, we had a couple of conversations about it, and that was one of the big takeaways that I took. Yeah, so good. Fionn is also wondering if you, I'm not sure if that question is about that in particular. She's wondering about getting them in Canada. Yeah, so what we did, because Glenda and I are in British Columbia, we shipped it to a company in Blaine, Washington, that then shipped it up to us. So we were our own brokers, which saved us a bunch of money. So we only paid taxes. We only paid duty. Yeah, I totally agree, Rebecca. She's saying turn a burn pile fleece into quilt batting. Totally. Especially if you knew exactly the thickness that you needed, so you'd know exactly how much fiber to put on, and then you could do quilt batting, 100%. I had thought about that, Dorothy. She said you should put the Carter on a sit-to-stand desk. So this is a sit-to-stand table. And even though I lowered it way down to the lowest setting, it's still too high for me. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do. Mike actually suggested making a table specifically for it that would be the footprint of the Carter itself. That would be, and he'd chop the legs to exactly the height that I want them, with a little bit of extra space for all of my carding stuff, like, you know, the burnishing brush, the cleaning brush, the doffer, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm not sure when he will get to that. I might be carding on the floor in 10 years from now. Yeah. Oh my gosh, Christine, totally. Yeah. I make it sound like Audrey from the Little Shop of Horrors. Feed me. Yeah, that's exactly what it was like. It was like constantly turning and you're just constantly like feeding stuff in, like from a horror story. Oh, that's right. Dion had rotator cuff surgery as well. So she was finding the cranking. She knew she wouldn't be able to do it. Okay, so Caprice. She says you could stand on a box. Okay. I have done that in the past with stuff where I wasn't quite tall enough and I was over and above it. The number of times I have fallen off said box, I don't do it anymore. Because once you're like in the moment and you're so into what you're doing, you stop paying attention to your environment around you, and off I went. Yeah. Yeah, Mr. Welford better get on it. I know, right, Rebecca? An ironing board's still too high. I know, I tried it, and it's too heavy. 50 pounds on an ironing board, it's too heavy. Yeah, Mr. Welford is also in the middle of renovating our whole house, and so I have been very careful not to ask him for anything lately. I'm like, even like asking him to like, I don't know, load the Instant Pot. Like, I'm just very careful because he's always trying to get stuff done on the house. So I'm very careful not to ask him too much. All right, let's move on. Tracy, who is a long time member of our community, gifted me with some fiber. It was a Corriedale Targhee cross. So check out this bounce. This is an original lock. It is washed. This is a washed lock. You can see the tips there. They were really clean. It came out beautifully. The butt there, no second cuts. Just a teeny tiny bit tangled when you start to pull the butt end apart. I'm leaving this lock intact. But what I did was, her and I were chatting when I was down in Oregon at the end of July, and we were trying to figure out how to get this fleece clean. She had tried cleaning it and scouring it quite a few times and just couldn't get it really clean. So I said, well, let me play around with it and let me see. And she played around with hers a little bit more. We brainstormed some ideas. Anyhow, what ended up working was really hot water. I did not add boiling water to my scour, but I did use our hottest water that I can get out of our tap, which I can't remember what the temperature is. I will check and I will throw it in the show notes later. Mike has it set on our water heater, and I forgot to look before the show because I did mean to. I feel like it's 140, but I feel like that's too hot. But it's like, yeah, it's up there. Anyhow, this is the prep that I was able to get. This is off my old drum carder. But like I said, the prep off my old drum carder is no better or worse than the new drum carder. It's the same prep. It's just size. And I love these little nests. And it wasn't a ton of fleece. And so what I did was I lock popped it all first. So I put these little locks, and that's the tip end. That's why I'm showing it to you upside down. That's the tip end. So I put them all through the lock pop. Honest to goodness, it took me less than half an hour. It was super fast. And then I took all of them and I put them through. This is before I got my new carder. So my old carder, I put them all through. I made 2 bats, 1 pass each. And then I took each of those bats and I broke them down into strips. I think I broke them probably down into 8ths. I'm pretty sure it was 8ths. And then I mixed them all up so that they were kind of randomized. Put it through a second time. And I, pre-drafted them all apart. Like, imagine this is first pass fleece. And I just like went through and pre-drafted them all, and aired them out. It was really beautiful coming off the carder the first time. put it through a second time. And then the third time I stripped it down again into, I think it was 12ths. I think these are 12ths. And I got this beautiful prep off of it. And so this is just waiting to be spun. The only reason it's not spun yet is because of working on work, like work spinning, not pleasure spinning. So those are ready to be spun, and it's just like a bag full of like M&Ms for me. It's just chock full of just these beautiful little nests of fiber, and they're just waiting to be spun. So I don't know if I have a photo, and I need to, I'll show you guys when I start spinning. I'll see if I can go back and find the photos of the before and after, and I'll show you what they look like after the first and second pass, because I know I have those photos as well. And actually I did acquire a massive Dorset fleece this past a couple of weeks ago. And I think I forgot to pop up the photos of it before and after. So let me just double check, because I wanted to share it with you, because I wanted to show you guys what a big difference washing makes. Yes, I do have the photos. Okay, cool. All right, let me show you. Oh, sorry, you guys. Give me 1 sec here. Okay. There we go. Sorry. Best laid plans. I'm going to have to move this down though, because it's going to cover me up. There we go. So this fleece came to me. I went to, so this is a Dorset fleece that it's from Rose Ranch up in Prince George. And it's kind of a funny story. So I was recording with, with Melly of Melly Knits for Wool and Spinning Radio with Rebecca, and we were chatting about different fleeces, and I was lamenting the fact that I had just finished spinning my Dorset, and I said I didn't really want to get anything at the fleece auction, and some of this is in the Wool and Spinning Radio episode, but then there was a whole conversation after the episode had finished. Rebecca had to go to bed. It was super late in Ireland, and her and I kept chatting for just a couple of minutes. And Melissa and I always see each other at Knots and Hops, which happens on once a month on Wednesday evenings. If anybody is local to me in the greater Vancouver area, look up Knots and Hops on Instagram and you'll find all the information. There's a North Van one, an East Van one, and then there's one out here in Langley. And it was James's birthday the next day. And so I said to her that I wouldn't see her at Knots and Hops the next night because I wasn't going to be able to go. And she's like, well, do you think you would want to stop by? Because I could give you the Dorset fleece. And I was like, you don't have to give it to me. Like, if you're going to use it for stuff, like, it's all good. And she's like, honestly, she's like, I have so much stuff. And it was $10 off the side of a road, and like, don't worry about it. And I was like, okay. So I go to Knots and Hops the next night, and she gives me this 6-pound fleece. And so if we just slow this down for a second, I don't know why it's going so fast. On right here is the white fleece that was washed. That is post-washing. 3 scours, 3 rinses. That's what it came out as. And over on the other side there, kind of that ivory color, that's the dirty fleece. And there was definitely some dirt in it. There was a little bit of spray paint there from marking the sheep. It wasn't a bad fleece though. Like underneath, this is it dirty. And these are the dirty locks. And because Dorset's a down, it doesn't have tons of lanolin. I did use the hottest water I could get out of our tap. And this is what it came out as. It's just beautiful. So I have it all washed and ready to go. And I'm going to start working on this in the fall. Because I just finished spinning all of that Dorset. And then guess what happened? I finished spinning it all. That fleece that I did back in the spring. I found more. So I just have to finish spinning this little bit that's from that fleece, and I'll put all of that yarn together and figure out my yardage and figure out how much I have, and then decide what I'm going to do with it. In the meantime, this Dorset I'll start spinning it in the fall. I just have to get it all processed. So yeah, super, super, super beautiful. Gorgeous fleece. I'm just eternally grateful to Melissa for letting me have it, because I just love downs. You guys know how much I love downs. All right. This is remember this project? This is on my old carder. I was carding all of these nests of fiber up. This was what I wanted the second camera for today, but it's obviously not going to work. I did all of this sampling for the contrasted proportion back in October for our year of color. And I had one more kind of pre-measured out batch of fiber ready to go to be carded and blended together. And so I've done that now. And so this is all of it here. I did put this through on my new carder. It was really interesting on my new carder doing this because it was only 50 grams because I had only measured out 50 gram batches of this fiber for this spin because of just having a smaller carder. So I ended up using just 1/2 of the new carder to blend it all together, and it did a beautiful job. And so I have 50 grams of this all mixed and ready to go. And I do have more of the blue Targhee in my stash, so I may end up carding up a little bit more, but I'm not sure. I'm kind of done with it, to be honest. I'm kind of ready to move on, because I have all of these singles spun. So these are the singles that are left ready to be plied. And the reason why they're all partial bobbins is you may have seen at the beginning of the show, I have now this skein I shared with you guys last show, and I have the knitted swatch that I've done, and I don't actually know where the knitted swatch is gone. It's somewhere here. I have it all measured. The gauge on the fabric that I liked the best was 21 stitches per 4 inches, I think. 21 or 23. Anyways, I'm having trouble figuring out what pattern I want to make, but I did get another skein plied this past weekend. So there's another skein there of it. I've got more skeins to ply. I'm just going to keep going until I have this all plied. And this is the Hawser yarn. And this is that yarn where you spin your 4 singles in, for me, in the Z direction to the right, or anti-clockwise. And then you take two singles and 2 singles. So you've got 4 singles, you take 2 and 2, and you apply them in the same direction, in the Z spun direction, in the anti-clockwise direction. And then you take those 2 yarns, because they're not really yarns, the singles are kind of just laying next to each other, but they're like energized. And then you ply them in the S twist, or the clockwise direction to the left. And you end up, it's a form of rope, it's from rope making. And you end up with this absolutely beautiful, bouncy, stretchy, elastic yarn. And I shared with you guys last week the fabric that it made. So definitely go back and watch that episode. And I'll talk about it a little bit more when I get there, in terms of like starting to think about sweater patterns and whatnot. I want to finish Jethro before I start anything else, because I have 1 sleeve left. 1 sleeve. That's it. So the new Dorset fleece, I am going to blend it because I have the 100% Dorset yarn that I just finished. That's a great question, Dana. So yes, I am going to blend it with something. I am allergic to alpaca. So I always kind of pause when I'm going to put something like alpaca with something, because sometimes I react and sometimes I don't. And sometimes it's really bad and sometimes it's not. So to do an entire fleece with blended with alpaca, it's like, but I might be fine. I also have a whole bunch of white alpaca in my stash. So I had thought that, thank you, Eve, I had them backwards. I had thought about doing the alpaca and maybe only doing like 10%. So it'd be a very, very small amount, but it would just take that bounce and that boing out of the down just a little bit, to bring it down just a little bit. I did just do the silk with the Charollais, so I was sort of thinking maybe not. And because the Dorset came out so white, I don't really want to put it with something that's ivory, like Muga or Muga silk, or I had thought about sea cell. I have a ton of sea cell in my stash. Sea cell, what else had I thought about? I have a lot of sari silk, so then that would add texture. It would be more like a heathered yarn like this instead. All those hits of blue, that's all sari silk. So I had thought about that. I have a whole bunch of colored vegan microfiber. I don't know if I really want to do that. I don't know. I am open to ideas. What do you guys think? The other thing I thought was I could add a little bit of peduncle tussar, like that tussar dark peduncle silk that's that gray brown, and make it like a heathered yarn, and add in like 20%. I have Caprice. I've tried. It's really hard to spin with a bunch of PVE on. But I think I would probably have to, if I ever did like an alpaca or a llama fleece, I would have to wear a face mask. I would have to cover my nose for sure. It just seems to set me off. But the white alpaca that I have is it's commercially processed. It's very, very clean. Eve, you knocked it on the head. You read my mind. I have a whole bunch of Angora that I haven't used. Whether I have enough for an entire sweater spin, I don't know, but I definitely would have enough to put in for something woven where it was a little bit lower volume, not as much spun yarn, but something like for a stole or a shawl or something. So yeah, I had thought about the Angora. I also have a whole bunch of camel. Yeah, and then Rebecca was saying funky colored bits like the sari silk, add in the colored microfiber, 80% wool. It would be an interesting rainbow tweed. That's actually not a bad idea. I love the idea of the peduncle, Dana says, maybe some Angora. Yeah, and it's true, 5% Angora goes really far. That's actually a really good point, Rebecca. And so even just 2% goes really, really far. So yeah. Yeah, Christine, sleeveless sweater, totally. There's a vest actually that I really want to make. That's DK weight yarn. I could do it's got cables, so I'd want a multiply yarn, 3 or 4 ply. I was thinking about maybe doing that. So anyways, there's no end of inspiration. Okay, because I've gotten really, really bad about using these, I'm going to pop one in now because we're going to talk a little bit about spindling. Lisa says Rachel's stash is better than mine. So you know what's ended up happening over the years? I was sharing with my friend Jenny over the weekend. We were talking, we were lamenting. We were lamenting about fiber prep because, and just the physical work that it takes to do fiber prep, because she was washing a fleece that hadn't been skirted properly. And I was in the midst of working on something that just has ended up being a little bit of a headache that I can't talk about just yet. And it's fine. It's just been a little bit of a headache. And I was looking at my stash, and I can pop in. Do I have a photo? I don't know if I do. I'd have to take time to find it. Let me see if I can find it. If it's right here, I will show you. I took a photo of my stash, and you'll see my gross, ugly situation that is my garage at the moment. But it kind of helps to put things in perspective a little bit, because I do have a lot of stash, and part of the reason for that is because, so this is a photo of all of my stash. Let me just size it down here. So you'll see, which way am I going? This way. So this shelf is a bunch of storage and stuff. There's my dyeing stuff up here, but all of this up here is stash. And then all of those bins down here, right here, all the way down, that's my bins of all of my stash. Plus I've got about 8 more of these bins. So they're all the same size. That's why we bought them. It's because they stack, but there's a lot of stuff in there. And a lot of it, the weird thing about it is that it's not like big stash where I've got like an entire fleece, or I've got 4 or 5 of the same braid to do a sweater spin, or I've got 2 of the same braid to do a shawl spin or something. It's like bits and pieces, you know, bags that are like yay size with whatever fiber that I've ended up with. So I'm at the stage right now where I'm really trying to work through some of that stuff and get it out of there, because it's been sitting for a long time. It's time. I love the idea. I've mentioned this so much on the podcast over the years of Diana Twist always talks about the living, breathing stash. I really love that idea. So This is my village fete that is from Hello Yarn. This is the Falkland base. And I've been spindle spinning this for the last number of months. I started it back at the beginning of July, longer than that. And these were my singles up here, and this is the 2-ply yarn. What's ended up happening was I rewound all of the singles and I popped them onto bobbins. So I rewound it all to the beginning, to the first spun end, and had it all ready to go to ply. And then I kind of realized that one of the 2 bobbins was disproportionately full. And what was so strange about it was that I think I just wound one of the bobbins quite a bit tighter, because when you put them side by side, they didn't actually look that different. So I think this bobbin just got wound quite a bit tighter for some reason. Maybe I was holding onto the singles a little bit tighter. I have no idea. So this is the 2-ply. It came off beautifully, but you can see where this is going. I have a bobbin full of rewound 2-ply, and I have the equivalent of a bobbin of singles that could have been a 3-ply. Super frustrated with myself. If this gets rewound back to the other end, to the end that I finished plying with, it finished off with this color. So I think maybe if I take some of the twist out of this and put it back through the wheel and take a little bit of the S-ply twist out of it, I could probably kind of unspin this enough, like unply it enough, just a little bit, and it won't take long. I had to upply some yarn last night, and honestly it took me like 10 minutes. But if I just untwist this just a little bit, so that it's not finished plied, ready for the water, but kind of underplied, needing more twist, I could actually make a 3-ply. And so that's what I'm thinking about doing. And no, I can't do a crepe because it's all spun. The singles are all spun in the same direction. So that won't work. I did think about that. What would you do? Would you just leave this as a 2-ply and chain ply this and have a little baby skein? Or would you unply slightly, make a 3-ply knowing it's not going to be as evenly plied as it would be if I had done a 3-ply to begin with? I'm leaning toward that, mostly just because having a round 3-ply is really lovely, and like, who doesn't want a round 3-ply? So that's what I'm thinking about doing, but I would love to hear what you guys think. I think that's probably what I'm going to do. Now that I've talked it through, it's like, yeah, that makes the most sense. I will hopefully get to that this week, and I will hopefully post some photos. But yeah, just kind of feeling a bit like, Rachel, what were you doing? I didn't weigh. I just kept unwinding the spindles, and I kept bringing it back to the first spun end, every spindle, making sure that the colorway repeat was intact. And this was the original yarn, the original fiber before I started spinning it. And like you can see the colorway repeat, like it's beautiful. But having those colors mixed up a little bit. So when the 2-ply that I have right now, the colors matched up beautifully. So throwing a third single in that maybe goes off the track a little bit, it is going to be totally fine. It'll end up looking a little bit like a fractal, which is totally fine. That would work no problem. So yeah, it can't be warp and weft because I don't think I have enough yardage for the weft. So yeah, Dion says to chain ply it. Unplying and replying with a third would be fine. Yeah, that's what I think, Rebecca. I think it would work really fine. Yeah. I'm just catching up on chat for a minute. Rebecca says that picture of my stash, it gives her heart tremors. So this yarn was completely spindle spun, and I have to admit, I'm glad that it's done. I'm glad that I did it. I'm torn about doing it again. I really enjoyed spinning from the Rolags. That's definitely the way to go. Because there were so many color transitions, let me just go back for a minute, because I was distracted by chat for a minute. Because there are so many color transitions, like you can see here, there's the rust and the red and the purple and the yellow and the green and the blue, and it's all light and then it's dark. The Rolags ended up really blended. So the color transitions weren't super long. So I felt like I was constantly mixing multiple colors in one Rolag rather than having a seamless kind of movement from one color to the next. So I think the finished yarn is going to be quite, I think it'll look quite variegated actually. I think it's going to have swifter color transitions than it would have in the braid. Because when you see here, the braid laying out, like the yellow there, that's very short. So when you lash that onto the hand cards a couple of times, that uses up all the yellow. So now you've got a little bit of rust in there and you've got a little bit of this kind of gray green. And the yellow is actually quite short. So I think that if I were to do this again, or when I do this again, because I probably will start another spindling project this week sometime because I want something to take with me to Calgary. I suspect that I'll lean more towards braids that are a little bit more homogeneous. Kind of various colors of blue or various colors of purple or whatever. I think that would be definitely something to try next. I think I would like that quite well. I don't think I would have spun this any differently if I had wheel spun it, to be honest. I think I still would have done an inverted 2-ply, a center pull ball 2-ply, or divided it in half, spun one half to the bobbin, to one bobbin, one half to the other, and done a 2-ply, or maybe divided it lengthwise into 3 and spun a 3-ply. Like, I don't think I would have done it much differently. I think I still would have tried to keep the colors together at least a little bit. But because it's a woolen spun singles, I don't love chain plying that. And I never sort of thought about chain plying this because I just don't like chain plying woolen spun singles. I'm never happy with the yarn ever. So yeah. I'm just catching up on chat. Sorry, I didn't mean to like go silent there for a minute. I was just catching up on chat. You guys always have so many great ideas. You're going to have to get a new clamp, Christine. She realized her clamp doesn't work with her hand card. That's my problem, Rebecca. So she said, like, I just find that two different little skeins, you know, a 2-ply versus a chain ply versus something else, it's very different to find a use for it. It's very difficult to find a use for it. And that's exactly why I think spending the time to unply and reply is the way to go. Because I'll use it eventually. I won't use it right away, but I will eventually use it. All right, let's do some K-Nitting. All right, Jethro. This has been a labor of love, let me tell you. So this is the Jethro cardigan. By Tanis LaValle, and she's located in Ontario. She runs Tanis Fiber Arts for those who are aware of her. Let me see if I can turn this just so you can see it. I can put this on if you guys want, just to show you. I've got fiber all over me. There's fiber everywhere. This is the coolest cardigan. So it's all crocheted. And so for those who haven't heard me wax poetic about this before and you're new to the community, you do all of these little crocheted granny squares and then you sew them all together. The instructions are all in the pattern. The pattern is excellent. It's very, very well written. It's very comprehensive, especially if somebody has never done granny squares before. And let's be honest, honestly, there is so many how-to YouTube tutorials that once you kind of have the pattern and know the dimensions that you're going for and how big you want your sweater, what your yarn gauge is, etc., etc., you can figure out how to crochet a granny square, no problem. So the button band is done, the bottom ribbing is done, and I will put it on in just a second. You guys, as soon as I offered, you guys are like, of course. I should have known. The buttons are here. They are leather buttons that I bought eons ago from... These are from Pearl and Hank from Manitoba. And I don't know if I can put one of these through, actually. I was going to show it to you guys like on, but they're quite dark. Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to throw one through, but you can kind of get the impression of what it will look like. So the buttons are quite dark, but I really wanted to highlight that dark Frisian, and I wanted it to be a memories sweater. Somebody in the community has said it's a memory sweater, and I can't remember who, Christine maybe, and I loved that idea because all of this hand spun yarn all has a place in my heart from something, whether it's the Sheep Breeds workshop from School of Sweet Georgia, you know, whether it's stuff that I did a while ago, stuff from friends, all that kind of stuff. Like this is from, no, not that one. Must be that one. Is from Kingdom Fleece and Fiber. I don't think that's it though. Anyhow, I could sit here all day looking at it. So yeah, I'll throw these on. I ended up doing another buttonhole up here because even though it's a bit high, I sort of thought like when it's cold, because this has quite a bit of positive ease, when it's cold, it is nice to have that upper button. If I'm wearing it under my winter coat or under a rain jacket or something and I need to button it up for a closer fit while I'm wearing a jacket over top. Usually it's my raincoat and then I need something woolly underneath for the warmth. So the raincoat is for the rain, but this is for the warmth. So I did put an extra buttonhole. So I ended up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 buttonholes in the end, from bottom to top. And then the sleeves. Can we talk about the sleeves for a minute? So the sleeves are picked up all on the inside so that you end up with this beautiful kind of braid on the outside that finishes off kind of the look of the crochet in the other places, which is really cool. I decided I always do decreases so that I have a slightly closer fit in the sleeves, and I decided not to this time. And so what I did was I did a few decreases down the sleeve. I think I ended up doing a 4th one here. No, I didn't. I did 3 decreases. That was it. So I decreased about 6 stitches from what I had initially picked up. But then when I got to the cuff here, so I didn't follow the pattern at all. When I got to the cuff here, I did knit 1, knit 2 together, knit 1, knit 2 together all the way around. That created kind of these, kind of a little bit of a pleating kind of, and it brought in the cuff. And the cuff I knit 3 inches long, just to match the bottom ribbing here, and also because this came in quite a bit, I wanted to make sure I had enough cuff to kind of offset. When it's too short, it doesn't work. It kind of rolls under when you have that quick transition from stockinette to ribbing with that much decreasing. And so this does not go with the t-shirt that I'm wearing at all, but what it ended up doing was it's just given me a really nice shape to the sleeve, and it's just a little bit bulkier, a little bit more space, a little bit more positive ease, but it still comes in really nicely at the cuff. And so so that's what it'll look like when it's buttoned. I really, really like this. I'm glad that I lengthened it. I added 2 rows of crocheted granny squares, so this is all added on. And so I added 4 to each front, and I added 10 across the back. So there's quite a few more squares than I would have had otherwise. And it's actually like there's a lot of ease to it. It's nice, and there's lots of space in here. It's about 3 inches of positive ease across the cardigan, and it's meant to hang open. It's not meant to be a really it's meant to be sort of open, like it's meant to hang. I've seen versions online that people didn't even put any buttons at all because they're planning on wearing it open like this, sort of more as like a shrug. So very, very, very happy with how this has come out. Very happy. Yeah, it's definitely going to keep me warm, that's for sure. So I'll just pop it back onto Diana. And you know what I've noticed? Like my Cat Bells cardigan that I did a couple of years ago, Cat Bells, same as this, is so easy to wear. Like I pulled it on and it was like, oh, and like I didn't start tugging at it and pulling at it, and I didn't have to shift anything around. It felt comfortable. It's not scratchy at all, even though there is some very, very coarse wool in there, but it's little bits. Because like some of it, like the Badger Blackface, which is this one on the outside here, it's the outside gray, the light gray there that's out there. I'll take some close-up photos when it's done. That is coarse yarn, and there is Kemp in there, and it doesn't matter. It's like a little teeny tiny bit is on your skin. It's like nothing. Yeah, no, and it doesn't hang off my shoulders. It's right up. It actually fits really well up here. The drop shoulder actually works really, really well on this particular, for whatever reason, the squares, the size of the squares, the fit of my shoulders, it actually like worked out. So when I was wearing it, yeah, it just fit. Yeah, because Ganila is asking, how does it fit across the shoulders? I guess you guys couldn't see because my hair is in the way. So let's do it one more time and I'll show you. Because I was really, really worried about the fit across the shoulders as well. But let me see if I can pull my hair out of the way and you guys can see. Okay, so yeah, see, it just sits. It's not pulling, it doesn't go anywhere. It's just perfect. Does that help? Yeah, it sits right up where it's supposed to sit. And once the weight of the shoulder, like once the sleeves were added, like you can see this side doesn't really fit properly just yet because it's not like sitting, it's just kind of hanging there. You could add just ribbing here. You could do like an inch or two of ribbing and just leave it open like a vest. That would work beautifully. It would look so nice. But you can see with the sleeve, it just pulls it down a little bit and has it sit properly, and it just sits there. Because I was wearing it yesterday just to kind of get a sense of like what it would feel like for a couple minutes, and like it just sits there. It doesn't come off, it doesn't, nothing, it just sits. Yeah. Now I want to make another one, but I want to do like a rustic one like this again, but with like glitter, like held with like a thread, so that it kind of like as you shift and move, it like kind of glitters a little bit. I don't know. I have this like thought in my mind of like what I think, and then I saw Felicia Lowe's version on Sweet Georgia, and I loved hers, and you could do so much. Oh my gosh, you guys, you could do so much. You could just keep making them and never, and actually what I would really like to do is another one, but not use a granny square. There are so many beautiful crocheted blocks out there. You could do anything. And you could like, you know, just sub in whatever you want for your square, for your size. And you just keep making them and use all different sorts of crocheted squares. You could even do a whole bunch of different granny squares, like different types, different shapes, different, like you don't, yeah, you, oh, it'd be, the possibilities are endless. It's like knitting. The possibilities are endless. Christine, she mentions about adding a pocket for hers. I kind of wish I had added a pocket. You could slide a pocket in on the side here really, really easily. That you could just have like side pockets there. All you'd have to do is add a square in behind and then leave this open. I kind of wish I had done that. So that is a really, really good point. You could absolutely add a pocket. It would be perfect. Rebecca, oh my gosh, another along. Actually, you know what though? That wouldn't be a bad idea to do it next summer, because last summer we did the Attune shawl along, and it was so wonderful. This year, people want to do the emotional chicken along, but you know, it would give people a year to spin the yarn and raid their stashes and find their hand spun that they want to use, and then we could do a Jethro along next summer. That is not a bad idea. I should jot that down. Jot down. Anything that doesn't get written down these days does not get done. 2025 summer, fall. Yeah, and the thing is, you know what the nice thing is about a sweater like this is you don't need to find, like I didn't use as much yarn as I thought that I would. I didn't find that the hand spun that I needed for it, I did not bust through so much of it. I could actually make another one of these no problem. So yeah, it'd be very cool. I found a bias square cardie by Amy Christoffers. No way. Oh, I haven't seen any of her new stuff recently. I don't know why. Maybe I'm just like not catching it. Learn to crochet journey, each square slightly more complex. That's a great idea, Eve. That too. Yes, totally. All right, we are going to run out of time if we don't keep this thing moving along. So I am going to switch over to community participation, and I will see you guys on the other side. I really like that idea, actually, Rebecca. She said, even though it would be a big one, like a big along if we did something like that, but you could do the squares throughout the summer because it's super, super portable. And then we could all sort of start putting them together in the fall, and we could have like the big reveal around Thanksgiving. I'm adding that part in, but that is not a bad idea. I kind of like that. I'm talking about Canadian Thanksgiving. That's the beginning of October. All right, we have so much to share with you guys today. Tour de Fleece. Let's do prizes. So Tour de Fleece is done for the year. Tour de Fleece Femme, I talked about earlier in the show, starts next week. So let's do prizes for Tour de Fleece because you guys have been so patient and nobody has asked me to get to it. So I really appreciate that. Thank you. Most spun yardage. I am totally in the way. You guys cannot see. I might have to just move myself to the other side for this. Ganila, you spun an incredible amount of yarn. She spun 17,357 yards of yarn. So that's the singles added together and then the plying. Amazing. So she did a Kent Romney with bio nylon. She did a Romney with bio nylon. She did a South American blend. She did a South Down with bio nylon. We had a whole conversation about bio nylon a couple of weeks ago. For those who don't know what it is, it's basically this like new nylon that's hitting the market that's supposed to be like eco-friendly. It's really interesting. Go have a read. Kent Romney, a Merino bat, and then a South American blend. Amazing. Amazing. So, Ganila, you are in the chat today. Congratulations. And Rebecca will be sending you a hand-dyed braid that she got when she was in Maryland for her Maryland Sheep and Wool. And I think she's already popped that in the mail for you, actually. Maybe. So congratulations, Ganila. Really, really well done. Really well done. Beautiful. I hope she's still here. She was here. Yeah, she's still here. Spindle spun yarn. Ellen. Bison and Merino. Very cool. She spun this on her support spindles for a total of 370 yards. That's a lot of bison and merino. So I will be carding up a bat for you, Ellen, and I will get your mailing address from you. And congratulations. Really, really well done. There were a lot of spindle spun. There were quite a few people that were spindle spinning, and I did do random number generator for the rest of these prizes. So congratulations, Ellen. Beautiful, beautiful job. From Joanne. This was another one. Tour de Fleece runner-up. We didn't really have enough to do like specific prizes for people because everybody was really just spinning. So this is going to be, so this was her 10th Tour de Fleece, which is incredible. Her goal was to spin at least 30 minutes a day, which she did. And this was all from fiber that she had dyed herself and spun on the wheel. A total of 1,230 meters. And totals for plying, and then total singles was 3,000 meters. Total spun was 4,400 meters or 4,800 yards. Amazing. Amazing. And Crystal will be sending you an art bat. Congratulations, Joanne. Laura, she broke the rules a little tiny bit because in the finished thread she included her Tour de Fleece yarn knit up into her elephant promenade sweater, but it was incredible and it's beautiful. And Laura, you won the Ed Pretty support spindle, and I know you're a big support spindler, which just turned out so beautifully. So I will be popping this in the mail for you. I'll get your mailing address from you if you want to contact me, or I'll get in touch with you. Congratulations. And this is a gorgeous spindle that he provided for us as a giveaway. It's 8.5 inches long, so the shaft length, and it's 39 grams of maple burl, and it just spins like a dream. It's just beautiful, beautiful spindle. So that's going out to you, Laura. Her sweater is so cute that the rules don't apply. That's what I thought too. That was the exact thought that I had. She spun the Polworth in Tour de Fleece 2024, and then the contrast was spun last year. Amazing. Beautiful, beautiful project, Laura. Very first Tour de Fleece, Caprice. Her first Tour de Fleece, she finished spinning her singles for her combo spin, and then she plied it. The fiber is from Wee Chickadee, and she also spun and plied a braid of Malabrigo Noob. She prepped this fiber on her blending board and hand carders and spun it continuous backwards. Beautiful spinning, Caprice. Well done. I know you're a new spinner as well, and so you'll be getting a carded art bat from Crystal as well. And thank you to Crystal for providing those 2 bats. I really appreciate it as our co-captain. And Dania, she finished 3 skeins for a total of 280 grams. Carded bat from me will be going to you, Dania, and I will touch base with you and Ellen this week for mailing addresses. Congratulations. All right, there is so much to share with you guys for Spindle Spun season. You guys have been doing so much spindling. It's been really fun to... Oh, let it be known that this was also Ganila's first Tour de Fleece. Well done. Yes. She did, Amanda. She did enter her great wheel spinning, but I just pulled the spindle spun yarn from it for that particular prize, and she happened to win. Yeah. This is from Dania, already getting ready to chain ply these loves. She spun them on her Alice Savage Fang supported spindles, and it's hand dyed and processed by Brittany Murphy of Crux Fiber. Brittany's a good friend of mine. Her fiber is beautiful. She lives up in Whitehorse, Yukon. This is from Linda Sue. She's been playing with her support spindling 50 minutes per day. She thinks she's getting a little bit better, but she's still park and drafting. That is totally fine, Linda Sue. You can park and draft for as long as you want. Not sure she'll ever be able to draft at the same time as spindle spinning. You will. I didn't think I would either. She's been expanding her herd of spindles. There's 2 Dancing Goat, an Enid Ashcroft, a Yarn Spindles, and a Mirkwood, which is her newest one. And the Mirkwood is this one right down here, which is just gorgeous. This is from Megan. She's been spinning and camping, and she's posted a whole bunch of photos in the Slack channel of their camping trip. It looked like they had a lot of fun. This is from Evelyn. This project is going super slow, but it's super fun. Aren't those spindles beautiful? The group fiber and the green spindle is from, I'm not even going to try to say it, the Regenbogenwohl in Germany. My German is also obviously amazing. And the other spindle is Crevelli. Beautiful. This is from Simone. First skein of support spindle yarn, yay, is dry. She took photos of it. It's a DK that bloomed very much, and it's a merino silk, 192 meters. Beautiful, Simone. Absolutely gorgeous. And that twist angle on there is so, so nice. Really well done. This is from Stephanie. So she arrived at her parents' house in Colorado. I love Colorado. And my mom surprised me with a bit of charcoal roving from a local farm. So she's been playing with it in addition to the combo spin. Another entry for her weaving breed study. And I am really curious when Stephanie gets this plied and everything to hear what she thinks, because charcoal is very, very coarse. It'll be really fun to hear her reflections. This is from Kim. Didn't join Tour de Fleece, but when my kids are biking, I am spinning. This is an 80-20 merino cashmere from a verb for keeping warm. It's my last spindle before plying. Beautiful. And I think she's doing a shawl with this. Gorgeous. Gorgeous spinning, Kim. So Year of Yarn is the sort of what we're calling our 2-year spin along for on Sarah Anderson's book, the Book of Yarn Designs. It's just kind of a catch-all term for what we've been doing. I didn't want to use Book of Yarn Designs because I wanted to use something that was sort of unique to us. And I wrote here that we're currently working on drafts and creating worsted woolen and semi yarns, but we actually have moved past that, so I should have updated that. Because we've been working on singles, so auto wrapping and all the different types of singles, slub singles, energized singles, spinning them consistently, leaving them as yarn, all these different things. So Amanda worked on a couple of auto wrapped yarns. This one was with merino and embroidery thread. I thought this was just beautiful, and honestly her Nitty Naughty is gorgeous too. She's not sure if she's going to full it or just leave it, let it take a hot bath, but either way it's just beautiful, Amanda. This one is from Stacy. So she's experimented with auto wrapping and she thinks she's done forever, maybe. So Stacy's been doing a ton of experimentation. I didn't include all of the photos just because it's too many to go through here. But she has been just doing a ton of experimentation over the course of this year, just in general, and following along with what Rebecca's been doing on the Wool Circle, which has been so cool to watch. So this was a tease water that she was playing with, and she was wrapping it with silver metallic crochet thread, which is beautiful. And this was actually the yarn that got me thinking about doing a kind of glittery, super funky kind of Jethro in the future. And so she wrapped the swatch, which is down below, represents the struggle with coordinating my fingers and adding twist. Over twisted, strong bias. The second, I didn't include the second set of photos, but they were she felt they were unbalanced after fulling. But then the third sample, which is this one here, was spun in the S direction, and it prevented added twist from entering the wrapping, but it resulted in a fairly balanced thick and thin yarn, and she's actually quite satisfied with that one. I think it looks awesome. And actually her other samples that I didn't include here, they actually looked really cool too. And I think that's the thing with singles, they're never going to be truly balanced. There isn't that that step that you go through to put in that ply twist to pull it in the other direction to balance it out. So singles are always going to bias slightly, but wow, what a cool experiment, Stacy. So awesome. This is from Esther. She made slub yarn for the first time, so that's the yarn there on the far side. And then she did fat singles, which is the yarn closest to me that's just below, and they both look awesome. Well done, Esther. She's been doing a ton of sampling as well, and really having some very, very cool results. New to leaving the yarn as singles, it's interesting to see almost half of the skein is overspun and half is just perfect. Was trying to imagine the twist of Lopi yarn while spinning. Well done, Esther. Beautiful. And that's exactly what you need to do. And also, I think the scarf or the stole underneath, I think that's hand spun as well, which is beautiful. So you get bonus points. This is from Lauren. Auto wrap singles on her new 1 yard Nitty Naughty. Beautiful. Can't wait to see how it finishes. I love that pink. So pretty. And then we'll finish off the show with just some general makes and shares that you guys have been working on, because holy smokers, you guys have been doing so much. It has been crazy. So the summer is kind of like that. There's always a lot going on in the summer, and it's always really fun to see what you guys are doing. So well done, you guys. This is from Lisbeth. It's some tablet weaving with some leftover hand spun. Isn't that beautiful? First time that she tried with yarn instead of smooth cotton thread, and it worked just fine. Great way to use up small leftovers. Beautiful, Lisbeth. This is from Marilyn. She finally finished spinning a combo spin for a sweater that seemed to take forever. She truly hates her favorite colors. Don't worry, you'll love them again in the future. And she's going to ply it into a 3-ply next. This is from Sue. First year of rigid heddle weaving is coming to a close, and this is her latest scarf or wrap, but it's all hand spun. Isn't that beautiful? And she's just used, I think she's just used a whole bunch of bits and pieces, but wow, did that come out beautifully, Sue. Love that. Elizabeth, I saw this yarn on Instagram and it's just beautiful. I remember hearing in Rachel's plying video that you can send your yarn through the wheel again if you aren't satisfied with the results. So I tried it with my overplied yarn and it worked. I ran this through before, but didn't realize that I have run into this before, but I didn't realize that I could fix it. Here are some before and after photos. So this is the yarn here that is after she fixed it, and then the yarn over on the far side there, that's the tall photo, that was it before. And I think she just felt that it was a bit too overplied, but wow, did she fix it. It just is beautiful. And it's from Spindlicious Targhee Color Dreamland. Gorgeous colors. What are you going to do with that, Elizabeth? I would love to see that in the yoke of a sweater. Oh my gosh, that would be so pretty. One of the patterns that just came out this year, I think, from, oh, her name is on the tip of my tongue. She's a member of our community. Oh, what's she called? It starts with a Z. Zanabeth? Oh, what's it? Epic fail. Trying to remember the pattern. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to remember it. What is she called? Her design name. Oh, and she posted a beautiful sweater. Is this her? No. But it's all over color work, but she did it in hand spun, and it was one of her designs. Can you guys help me out in chat? Does anybody remember? And oh my goodness, was it effective. It was so effective. It worked so well. She just had a new pattern come out that was a little tank that just came out. Now it's bothering me, so now I want to find it. But it turned out so well with the all over color work. I was just looking at it last night, and now it's just, her name is, this is driving me crazy. I'm going to have to post it in the chat later. And of course, it's not coming up on the top patterns because it was there last night. And now I'm not seeing it. Oh, here it is. Ah, Zanetta Net. So this, the Yoke Meditation series, if you look at Yoke Meditation series number 4, yes, thank you, Rebecca. That was totally what I was trying to think of. I just put it in the chat. She did a yoke that was just awesome. And she posted it, I shared it on the podcast. It was so effective, but this yarn would work for that just so well. So I'm sure you have a plan for it, Elizabeth, and I'm probably derailing it by going on and on about this, but this yarn just screamed that pattern to me. Anyways, moving on. This is from Lauren. She was telling me about these mitts when I saw her in Winnipeg a couple weeks ago, and these mitts are chunky unspun alpaca. It's like low P, but it's much softer. And she was saying to me that she was thinking that she would whip them into a pair of mittens. I was like, yeah, you totally should. But how effective. Oh, so perfect. Beautiful. And this is from Ruth. I thought, Ruth, when you watch this, or if you're watching this, you nailed this. This vest is incredible. She's so happy with the yarn and pattern combination. It works for a quantity of yarn where you might feel there is not quite enough for a full sleeved garment. She used 270 grams of a 3-ply sport DK weight, around 760 yards. I added length to the body and also the collar ribbing. You can make it as written with less yardage. And then on the Slack channel under sweater spins, is that what it's called? Hashtag sweater spin. I can never remember what that channel is called. Hashtag sweater spin. She goes through all of her modifications. So definitely have a look if you're interested. But oh my goodness, I thought, Ruth, you did a really, really amazing job on this. You nailed it. Beautiful. And I love the photo. You look so happy. This is from Linda Sue. I shared this yarn in Ask Anything several months ago, and she went ahead and finished it. So she finished plying her brown rambouillet, 3 huge skeins for total yardage of 2,896 yards, or out of almost 600 grams. Amazing. Grist is 2,200 yards per pound, and the wrap springe of 14. Just incroyable. Beautiful. So pleased with the outcome, and she's hoping to have enough yardage for Grace's cardigan, which is a pattern available on Ravelry. Gorgeous. And this is from Dion. I think we're almost done. A week ago, I got a new addition to my wheel family. Her name is Sakura, and she is a gorgeous great wheel. She is all cherry wood. Her wheel is 43.5 inches. She came with a bat head and an accelerator head. I have set her up with the bat head, and we have been getting acquainted. Here's my first full bobbin that I've spun. I'm having tons of fun. Isn't that incredible, you guys? Amazing. Congratulations, Dion. Thank you so much, you guys, for everything that you do, for everything that you share, for being so forthcoming in the community and supportive of others. It never goes unnoticed, and I really appreciate it. It's been a busy month for us, and I haven't had the opportunity to jump into Spin Group and some of the other groups quite as much as I had been planning. And you guys just truck along, you just carry on, and I love that. It's so amazing. I am looking forward to the fall though, when I'm back into more of a routine. I always find the summer and the lack of routine, I do find it a little bit difficult by the time we get to this time of the summer, because I have a lot to do and I have a lot of work going on in the background, but the kids are like, la-di-da, summer, we've forgotten everything we've learned. I'm like, so it's fine. August is my favorite month of the year, so I definitely look forward to it, but I also look forward to the routine of the fall. The show is long. It's been a long show. Thank you so much for sticking with me to the end. I hope you guys have a wonderful couple of weeks. I may or may not see you in 2 weeks. If not, I will see you at the beginning of September. I will be at Knit City in Alberta, in Calgary, in a couple of weekends. Not this weekend, but the weekend after. I will have one of my little ones in tow, because Nora is coming with me, and Rebecca and I will be there together. So please get in touch if you will be there and if you'd like to meet up. I don't know what her and I are going to do. If we're going to kind of park ourselves somewhere one day. If you guys could just get in touch if you're going to be there and if you want to meet up, that would just be great. We can maybe figure out, maybe we get together around lunchtime on Sunday. That would probably be ideal. And yeah, let me know. Get in touch, please. The sooner, the better. And until then, happy spinning, happy weaving, happy making, happy designing. I hope you guys are getting lots and lots of fiber prep done. And I will talk to you guys soon. Have a wonderful couple weeks. And we will be back here, same time, same place next week for the Wool Circle. So I will see you here at 10 a.m. next Tuesday. Bye, everyone.